All right. What's up, guys? In this video, I wanted to essentially just talk about how I feel about the First Descendant and the current state of the game that it's in right now. With the Valby nerf finally taking place, as of yesterday, I'm pretty sure it was. It's, I think it's time that we have this conversation about the game, and I want the game to do great. But I've noticed like a lot of people are starting to feel burnt out on the First Ascendant, as well as one of my friends also asked me too, like, what do I think about the game, and do I think the game's in a currently good state? And I had to be honest with them. Although I think the game is a good game, a solid game for the most part, for like a starter, it definitely has its flaws for sure. But I don't see the game lasting long if it ever stays the way it currently is. Right? I really see a lot of players just continuously just dipping off because they're just getting burnt out or bored. Um, that being said, I want to talk about why this is and what Nexon can do to kind of fix it. And hopefully you agree with me. Maybe you might disagree. But the Valby farm, in my opinion, achieved one of the goals that they had in mind, which is the run and gun looter shooter type of playstyle. Now, this may not be the case for you if you were someone who didn't have Valby and you were just sitting there just XP farming, just running around in circles, right? Or just standing there and just racking up all the XP. I can understand that might be boring for you as a gamer, but you went there because you did recognize it as a more effective farm compared to all the other farms inside the game. Being that that being said, like whether you're getting Kuiper, gold, reactors, modules to help you, transmute other mods or dismantle that for more Kuiper, or just level things up, right? So it's kind of sad that we don't have any other location inside the game that does just that and hit like 5 different targets at once. When we think about like farming, we think about like defense missions, but it takes like 5 to 6 defense runs for me to max out like one character and a weapon. You compare that to something like Warframe and like Hydron, it's like Hydron isn't even like the greatest Warframe farming spot, right? It's literally like the lowest farming spot. But I can go to like wave 20 in Warframe and instantly max out a character. Now, this video isn't going to be about Warframe and why Warframe's better than First Ascendant or anything like that, so don't worry. I'm not going to be like comparing a 10-year-old game to a 1-month-year-old game. It's just I just want to make certain announcements like and comparisons in terms of, well, this game tries to borrow Warframe mechanics, but it kind of like undercooks the Warframe mechanic a little bit, if that makes sense. Like they saw Warframe was doing something, and instead of copying it fully to the greatest extent and trying to make it better than Warframe, they just went like, "Oh, we just saw they're doing it, so we're just gonna implement it." So it's kind of like half-assed, if that makes sense. So that's where some of these comparisons come into play. But um, yeah, going back to the Valby run was like you were actively engaged inside the farm that you were doing. You were going from one mob to the next mob, and me and my buddies was talking about why we think Bunny is the best character in the game because of that. Like Bunny is the best AoE ad clear because she can literally go from one mob group to the next mob group. In my opinion, mobs in this game kind of suck. They really do. We have a lot of AoE based weapons and AoE characters, right? But they suck. Like everything sucks because it doesn't feel needed. It's kind of like shotguns right now, right? Like shotguns aren't needed in the game because they're heavy ammo and it's so niche. And then like their damage output versus something else is just kind of like, it's kind of like, why would I use a shotgun when I can just use a rocket launcher or a sniper rifle and achieve the same effect but better with no penalty, right? So when we look at characters like Bunny, it's like she can constantly go from one slow mob group to the next slow mob group that's only spawning like 5 enemies at a time. And again, you compare that to something like Warframe or Destiny, which throws massive waves of enemies at you. Mainly Warframe. Warframe does like crazy ad density. Like you can have over like 100 enemies on screen in Warframe, just like all attacking you like this narrow corridor, and it just feels so good just mowing them all down, right? And then you play like First Ascendant, and it's like even when I do a defense mission, it's not until like about wave 15, 16, but it's only about like 10 enemies at a time on my screen at most, it feels like, right? And it just doesn't feel good. Like nothing, like no character feels needed or necessary when it comes to AoE, right? So I would like for Nexon to improve that, because in the looter shooter like this, to achieve that run and gun method, it's like I should always be engaged in fights. There shouldn't be any down periods. There's a lot of down periods inside the game. There's a lot of like things that take you out of the fight, whether it be, oh, you got to go and pick this up and then go drop this off real quick before you can go back to fighting again. That's kind of boring. I gotta wait for enemies to spawn in, which is kind of boring, because they can take a while sometimes, especially if the server's lagging. It'll take them a fat minute to spawn back in sometimes. And then it's only like 2 or 3, 4 enemies that come out. I have over like 300 hours in the game, and with over 300 hours in the game, I'm only sitting at like 90,000 kills. That's not a lot of kills for a looter shooter, especially if a game that's like this, that's supposed to have like a crazy lot of AoE. It's really not a lot, you know? And that's because I stopped playing characters like Bunny. Now, I'm sure if I played Bunny, I would have a lot of kills. But it's just, I shouldn't have to play one character just to try to make the game feel more enjoyable, right? The concept of this is that there's supposed to be multiple characters for me to pick off and play with and everything like that, and be like, oh, okay, this character's cool. But that goes to my next point about the game. And right now, I also feel like building characters is kind of disgusting. Like it feels very, how should I put this, guys? Like it feels very hardcore. And that's weird for me to say because I love grinding, but let me explain why I think it's not good and it's not healthy right now. There are people who's probably like, oh, the farming's perfectly great. Like, no, it's really not, dude. Like the energy activators are the most underwhelming things ever. Like, not only are they hard to get, right? Like they're like 3% chances based on what amorphous you're opening to a 6% chance. And if you have a shape stabilizer, which by the way, you can only have 6 shape stabilizers total, which is kind of ridiculous. Like why is there a cap on everything in this game? We got to remove these caps. The shape stabilizer will only turn it from a 6% to a 10%. A 4% increase. That is not really anything to be like, oh, this is amazing, right? Like that's terrible. And then on top of that, I have to wait 30 hours to craft one energy activator for a character, right? Just to move that character up 20 slots. Now, mind you, one mod in this game is on average, which is sad to say, on average, 16 capacity costs. That is a massive amount of capacity. So technically that energy activator only gave me space to fit one module on my character, right? Until I obviously activate them with the catalyst or whatever, or form of them, whatever you want to use. And that's not good for a free-to-play. Because not only is the energy activator very like time consuming, and you can only craft 5 items at once, so you have a 30-hour crafting time that you have to wait for, so you can't craft other things that you would like to craft. Because like if you have like, you know, a catalyst crafting and then your energy activator crafting, whatever like that, you might be only craft like, well, like maybe like 2 or 3 pieces left of your descendant. If you're a farmer like ultimate descendant, so you gotta wait for that to finish crafting and stuff like that, and it just does not feel good. So the reward doesn't feel like it's good. It just doesn't feel good at all. I have like 6 Forma in my Ultimate Viesa, and the issue I have with the cost of modules in this game, especially, again, I'm not a free-to-play. I'll be honest, I'm not a free-to-play. It's so high cost and investment and tedious that the mods are so expensive in the game that I'm forced to lock into one specific build and stick with that build, right? Like I can't tweak my characters the way I would like to tweak my characters. So say like, I was like, oh yeah, I just want to see what her damage can get up to. Oh, this damage is sensational. All right, but now I know what her damage can get up to. I can kind of pull back this aspect of the mod, put this aspect of the mod in, and you know, we can call it a day. No, I can't do that at all. I have no choice but to lock in and leave my build as is, or else I have to go out, go get a whole new catalyst, and then try to replace the mod and constantly keep doing it and doing it until I find a perfect build. That is the most tedious thing ever for a build. Again, compare it to something like Warframe, where on average, like most mods are about like 7 cost to like 12 or 16 being like the most expensive mods, but they're like the strongest mods in the game, which makes sense, right? All the other mods are very powerful, if not more so powerful than any mod in the First Descendant. I'll throw that out there right now. And achieves more for less. That makes your Warframe just feel significantly more powerful. And I can put like 3 to 4 forma on a Warframe and feel great. Feel absolutely great. I can't do that in the First Ascendant. I feel locked into whatever playstyle I'm making, and that's it. So if my playstyle needs any kind of tweak, I'm just kind of like SOL until I decide to catalyst them again. Compare that to a free-to-play person. Not only are free-to-plays struggling in terms of like actually getting materials, because everything in this game is like a 10% drop rate or 6% drop rate, unless it's smithereens. You guys have limited slots, right? And resources for you are really hard to come by. So you have to really think about what kind of character you want, because obviously you're not putting any money into the game, so you can't buy extra slots. I think you get like 10 slots total for free, and after that you have to spend real money to get more character, like more descendants. So you can't get access to every single descendant as of right now until trading comes. And then when it comes to building your characters and stuff like that, again, if you're like sweating like me and you're putting all the work to get all your catalysts and stuff like that and your activators, you're gonna be looking at stuff and you're gonna be like, man, I kind of want to build this character, but I'll make sure my character's effective because I don't want to be like, falling behind the community in terms of content or struggling and I have a wrong build put on my character. So that's why you got like all these people trying to figure out what's the best build, looking for like, this is the best build, that's the best build, and builds change all the time. Now, Nexon had openly stated that they want to see the community go out and create fun builds and, like, diversify a bit. But it's like, we don't have the tools to do so because of the issues that I just mentioned, right? Activators are too hard to get. Catalysts are just kind of like, they're not as bad. They're like probably easier than activators for sure. But they should be way more common, considering that it's going to be the main thing that we're going to be using. And then 2, it's just mods cost way too much in this game. I'm not talking about Gold or Kuiper. I think Gold or Kuiper is fine. I'm talking about the actual cost of like module capacity space. So my solution is to copy Warframe again, because it's copying Warframe. And in Warframe you get double the capacity. So if my Warframe was to magically go to 40 capacity like they do in this game, I would get 80 slots maxed, right? 80 slots maxed just off the energy activator. Now in this game, we get 80 slots because you have things like the sub modules, but the energy activator gives you 20. So in reality, the energy activator should give me 40 slots. 40 slots, not 20 slots. 40. That's the point I'm trying to make. So I know it might sound a little bit confusing because you might go back and be like, well, you can get 80 slots, you can get like 85. I should be at 100 is what I'm trying to say. We should be at 100 capacity. So we have more space to fit more mods without having to over-forma a character, right? And then we can actually like diversify our builds and tweak our builds and have different play styles going on and create all these crazy things that they would like to see. Same thing with weapons. Weapons should also be 40 as well instead of 30. The energy activators. Or they can reduce just overall module capacity. I'd be fine with that too. Reduce the max capacity of certain modules, like blues should like at max be about like 8 instead of 16. Already make them half their cost, right? That'd be great. Another thing they could do differently with this game is just, again, in terms of like cosmetics, as much as I love cosmetics, I'm going to throw it out there because I know like the casual community definitely really wants to be able to customize their character and everything like that. I don't know if Nexon ever came out and mentioned it, but they should definitely make it to where people can just color their base characters and be more unique, right? That's another thing people are going to get bored of, is just seeing the same character over and over and over again, especially if the fashion is all the same fashion. We need people to like, look unique and feel unique. Like in Warframe, there's people who walk around with like a character that someone might be like, that character sucked, but because that character looking drippy, people are gonna want to play that character, right? It's sad, but it's true. Like, people want to look stylish when they play these kind of games, because at the end of the day, end game is fashion. So I would love for them to readjust the wheel when it comes to the free to play aspect and the color customization. Make colors go back to being how it was in the beta, where it's unlimited, and then also let you color your base character instead of having to buy a recolor of a base that's being sold to me 4 times, like it's Fortnite, just to recolor that same base. But it's like it's the same base skin, just 3 of the same freaking skins, bro. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's this default skin just sold to me 3 times. Like, why not just let me just recolor this? You know, just call it a day. I don't need the same skin sold to me 3 times. I'm sorry, Nexon. Thank you though. Um, but if you guys feel the way I feel, definitely remain critical about this game. I love this game and I want to see this game do great. And I just want to get this video out here just because, again, as much as I love the First Descendant and I'm gonna stick with it, I'm gonna keep playing it nonstop. I just really think that the elephant in the room should always be addressed, and we should go about like fixing the grind in the farm. Like, I want a survival game mode inside this game. I think a survival game mode similar to Warframe would be good. I think Kuiper shards should be dropped when farming defense missions. I think XP should be increased overall. I think killing elites, I don't care what game mode you're doing, if I kill an elite, they should automatically drop core resource materials. Like, I don't know why I have to go do a specific mission in order for the same enemy type or the same monster to just drop a different kind of thing. Like, that's just so tedious and annoying. Where, like, again, if this is like Warframe and I can go in one spot, which will be like the defense missions, right? Or survival missions, I can kill all the elites and get the drop I'm trying to get, whether it be Argon crystals, whatever. Like, I can understand certain areas dropping that specific loot, which is fine. Like the area being like Hagios, for example, or Fortress, or like Echo Swamp. Like, all 3 of those areas I just listed would have, like, the enemies will drop specific loot dedicated to that area, but the elites will definitely drop the major resource. Like, that's how it should be. I'm fine with that. So hopefully Nexon is working on this, or they hear this video, or whatever the case may be, or they hear the community complaints, because I want this game to do great. Again, I know I'm starting to rant, I'm yapping, I'm the Yapatron 5000, but again, I just wanted to get that video out there. Let me know if you agree with me down below, and follow me over on Twitch, where you can find me live. I'm always hanging out with the viewers and stuff like that. I'll be doing some more farms here. I'm waiting for Luna to drop August 1st. I got activators waiting for her, so I'm super excited, guys. I'm gonna try to get a Luna build out first thing as soon as possible. I'm gonna try to just instantly work on her. I got activator ready and waiting. So yeah, I'll post again. I'm just thinking of more YouTube video ideas. If you have any ideas, you can just hop in the Discord or just hop in chat and just throw some ideas at me, you know? Peace out.